So in today's video, we're going to talk about email sequences. So when I refer to email sequences, I'm talking about stuff like that software like MailChimp is set up to provide. Aweber, there's a bunch of them out there, dozens of them actually. Not one I can't say is too much different than another. Why those and email sequences, meaning an email that's set up to be automatically sent to your user or prospect or whatever you want to call it in terms of person that you're trying to make money from selling them something, that goes out at a certain time in a certain way, and then other emails in a certain way in a certain sequence rolled out and is done in an automated way for your users to kind of educate them, get them to buy stuff, so on and so forth. How that actually has to do with PPC, which it has to do a lot actually, which I'm going to explain why in this video. Why email marketing sequences can double, literally double, the PPC campaign ROI that your campaign has right now if you already have PPC going, which I often see people that they're spending all this, tens of thousands of dollars a month on ads, no email sequence at all. And I'm just like, because they're throwing a crap load of their money away. And so it's very, very important for you to consider this. The big thing and reason why, like everything else that I talk about on my channel pretty much here, of why people don't do it, even though it should be, a lot of it should even be obvious to people that have nothing to do with or know much about PPC at all should be doing anyway, because it's so obvious that it should work. So people, as I mentioned before, the psychology behind it, these kind of actions are, well, I'm not sure if it'll work, so therefore I'm not going to do it. When in reality, deep down, they know it should work, but they convince themselves it don't matter. Therefore, it lets them off the hook to have to try it harder than they are. So, of course, they want somebody else to do it, but that person, if they want on an email sequence, you have them help you out with it. They're going to charge to do it right, as is with a lot of marketing. It's not going to be cheap. So then they try to hire someone cheap, and then pretty much in marketing, there's it doesn't matter how cheap it is. There's a point where cheap is worthless, basically. So, and someone who knows how to write good email copy and can set up an email sequence for your business, by the way, is going to be upwards of $125 an hour. You can pay less if you know how copywriting works and you can outline the topics and the angle and the flow and how to audit. But if you know zero and you just want to hire somebody and it's done, you're talking $125 an hour for a freelancer to come in and do it for you. So when people hear that, they're just like, well, forget about it. But okay, you're making $1 million a year now from your ad campaign. Maybe you make less, maybe you make more, whatever. Wouldn't you want to make $2 million off the same exact traffic? Who cares if it costs you $5,000 to set up a 7 email sequence for your business? It's literally illogical not to do this for yourself. So anyway, I'm going to explain why the email sequence works so well. And if you are motivated and don't want to spend all that money, you can easily write one for yourself. And actually, for me, anything you can do, so in your business, the thing that you should last be outsourcing is the check writing and the marketing, because no one knows better than you what makes your product or service different, and and no one will sell it better than you. What marketing, and especially PPC, is great, and why it's great is because it allows you to package up a pre-written, pre-formatted sales pitch that can just be, and you can clone yourself. So for you to write an email sequence once, that can be shown to millions of people the same way every time. And that pitch, as if you were selling a customer yourself every time, you could do it better than somebody else, even if that copywriter is the $125 an hour copywriter that's going to charge you to do this stuff. They still ain't going to know your business as well as you. They understand the lingo that people want to hear. The more technical the product, the more that matters. And words and language that people like to hear, because you have pitched it before and you see feedback from people. And if you know what keywords get people's attention versus not. You can work that all into your email script. So yes, you're busy, but my response to that is outsource something else. You don't want to outsource something like this that once it's done for good, basically, and it will work for years and years and years to generate millions of dollars of revenue and profit for you long term. Why would you not just do it yourself? But of course, even if you can't, you hire the right person, you still do it. So anyway, I have a short list of things here that I'm going to talk about in reference to these email sequences, how they tie into PPC, why they matter, how you should do them, so on and so forth, as I usually do on my videos. So we're going to get into it here. So the first thing is, what kind of email is important for your PPC? Influences your campaign ROI. And that is post-contact controlled time sequences. So in other words, if using like a MailChimp or something like that, how do I double my ROI that I'm getting from my campaign? It's these, as I was touching on before. So basically, you have a time pre-written, pre-formatted sales pitch that goes out for the user after you've got their email some way or somehow. And obviously there's a way to offer a white paper or case study or something, get people's email, and then you can do that and sell to people that way. But what I'm referring here is in reference to making PPC campaigns better, which is just another way to do email marketing that works. And so what you do is, and again, I'd say probably 10% of people do this. So if you do it your market, this is gonna work basically. When somebody, so you run your PPC campaign, you have an e-commerce site, somebody fills out the contact us form, they get a request a quote, you have a service business, same thing, they fill out a contact form on your site. You have on the form a lot of times checkbox or drop down that says what you're interested in, and then you get an email, and then you try to contact that person, earlier the better, of course, closer to the 15-minute window in terms of from the time that they fill out the form that you contact them, the higher the rate of which you're going to be able to sell them. But the email sequence can, because timeliness is a factor, you can start the conversation with that user and get them tied in sooner. But more so than that, if you spent $2, $5, $10, $20 to get somebody to your site that is qualified and basically and is in market for what you want today, and you're willing to spend that money to get them to your site, and they turn into a lead, basically what we're going to call a lead, somebody fills out the contact form, spends the time to do that, you need to do everything you can to close that lead to make the PPC campaign profitable so you can scale that PPC campaign up, because that's where most of the money in PPC is, or that's what you should do anyway. That's what I do. That's what I advise people to do. And so by just standard, you're going to have a series of 7 emails that are going to show up for the user after they fill out that contact form, inquiring about whatever they're inquiring about. And that is what's going to be able to specifically, as it comes to PPC, double your ROI. It automates the phone and or email sales process that you're normally going to have with the user. So, of course, a person asks a question. They, ask, is this going to work for my specific model of car? Okay, yes. And then, with that, if you're a good salesman, that you're going to ask some other questions. The more involved in the process they get, the more likely it is they're going to finish their purchase. Or if you don't know, that's the way that it is. And so whatever you're saying to them in the sales process can be packaged up in this email drip sequences. A lot of times people call them drip sequences. And that you don't have to say all that stuff, and it's more likely to be read, and in the time frame it needs to be read. If you just automatically, why wait for them to respond and then you respond when that can just be dripped out and still look like you're getting the personalized effect by having it dripped out over time, which is why people use drip sequences. And by the way that I do it is I'll immediately send an email out, and then a day later another one, a day later another one, and then what a lot of people do, what you probably should do, is on your first email, mention that you're going to be sending a second one. On the second email, mention you're going to be sending a third one, so that they stay tuned as well. So if you wanted an example of a good email sequence, you're going to need to check out the email sequence that I have on my site. Go to GaryPPC.com, fill out the contact form, you'll get that. Now that's not in the, I will admit, that's not in the format that you should probably use them in, given that you're not offering a highly technical consultancy in a highly saturated space, that you have to differentiate yourself very, very, very highly in terms of competency in order for people to pick you, which is why I do mine the way that I do. But just the way that it's written, the quality in which it's written, and you feel like when you read one email, you were like, that was interesting, not that was boring. And so when you get the second email from me, you're just like trash, and anything else, because then you wasted your time. So that's why I mentioned you got to have a good person writing this for you if it's going to be worth it. Otherwise, all they got to do is just click spam. A few users got to click spam, and then even the people that do want to see it, it'll just start showing up in their spam boxes, of course, or they'll unsubscribe. But some people will click spam, and then that's going to trigger all your spam filters on all these different email platforms that people use to host their email to just send your communication to spam. So it's written, the main thing there is just check at the quality at which it's written. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but it's written in a way that you would actually consider reading another piece of email from me. It's well written, and this is the other key. It's very empathetic and written in the first person. So going back to what I said before, if you can, you should be the one writing this. You introduce yourself as the owner, and thank you for contacting us. I will be sending you some information that explains why our company is different, and the product that we have is different, and the service that we have is different. Tomorrow I'll be sending more information to you in reference to this. I hope to help you make a decision on the new electrical component that you're going to look on buying for your car, so that you make the best decision possible. So it sounds like a personal conversation, and inherits what you can get done again through the phone or through the email manually through this process. If it's done right, that's the type of stuff you need to do to be able to double your sales. And the next email is going to be like, just wanted to let you know, hey, it's me, Corey, the owner again. Just letting you know, hey, if you're looking to buy this particular electrical component for your car, that it's important to know that in the market, there's cheap ones, there's expensive ones. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I've seen it all. It's important to know this, and this. The reason why I started this company is because of all the misconceptions about what's out there. And then I knew that the products weren't very good. There was a demand for this particular type of product, and therefore I spend the time to fill that particular demand. And it's very important that you should know this as well. And then your next email after that is, hey, by the way, again, I just wanted to let you know, for what you're looking for, there actually is a few other options. Just wanted to explain what those are and why, what's the difference between those options. So you're educating the user and you're building a relationship at the same time with them, and it sounds personalized. Must be sounding personalized. So anyway, these email sequences, the content is specifically used for developing a deeper relationship, keyword deeper, relationship with your buyer. So when they initially contact you through the email, they have some level of relationship with you. After they've read the first email, they've had another level of relationship with you at that point, deeper, a little bit deeper. They like the email, so therefore they're willing to, of course, when they read the headline in your first email, they're considering whether or not they're going to read the rest of the email. And as a good copywriter, one line should convince the user to read the second line. And if they read the second line, that convinces them to read the third line. And pretty soon, they didn't think they would read the whole email, they did. And then now it leaves you open so that the second email you send, potentially you get the same process again going, because people are going through their email. They're trying to figure out what they can block out. Just like as if you sent something in the mail, people, what do? They sort their mail over the trash. You're trying to be the one person that's different. And then each email that you write that gets that goal accomplished of being perceived as quality information gets you another level deeper with your prospect. And so now they first, you got them, you knew they were interested in that electrical component for their car. You got them interested enough to contact you, and then each email they read makes sure that you are the one that they choose at a higher likelihood the more emails that they read. Pretty much if they can read 7 emails, they're going to buy from you. Deeper relationship equals more sales. The talented person doing this is going to be offering more value to the buyer in the form of an actual education. So like I was saying before, the way that you write it is, yes, in the first person, but you're educating the user as they're actually reading these email sequences from you. And there's a channel on YouTube called Valuetainment, where I love the fact that they combine the word value with entertainment. And that channel is so it just blew up because they did that well, just like what I'm trying to do with this channel. There's information, but it's a very fine art of packaging information that's valuable and not making it boring so people get the information. And so copywriting in and itself is such an expensive trade to hire out for, because you're not just writing technical information. Not that that's easy, but it's way harder to put that information in a way that engages you at the same time. So, but it should be written in the first person and educating and entertaining all at once. So that might be a little too much for you to do. Maybe it isn't. What I would personally do, even if I was going to hire somebody out, I would write as much of it as I can, knowing these key tips I gave you and the examples I gave you, and let the the pro, rewrite what you have in a little bit more engaging form, and that probably will get you the best possible result out of them all, by the way. If you want the doubling in ROI from your campaigns, on everything that's coming in, basically. You'll get such a higher lift in close rates on the leads that do email you that basically, for all practical purposes, almost everyone that emails you will just start buying from you, which will bring up the overall ROI on everything you're doing. Because for higher priced items, as you know, there's a direct proportion from the number of people who contact you first before buying, the higher the price of the product or service is. So maybe not the case if you're selling a $29 item, because you just don't get that many people contacting you. But when you sell a $500 item, it's going to matter a ton. And so you're actually going to get a lot more effect the higher your price your product or service is. So the other function, other than developing a deeper relationship with your buyer, is you're going to, it's better that they know what you do and why, what your differentiators actually are and why they matter. So, as I was mentioning before, so there's an element of educating the buyer on what they should need to know. And with that, you're setting yourself up to give the differentiators you have while you've got their attention, and fit that in with what you just educated them that they need to know, so they don't have to really think any harder. You're completely setting yourself up. Good salesmen always ask questions, and then they just push you with the right appropriate product. It's a consultative sell is what they call that. But in your particular instance, you're first educating in that 7 email sequence, what, as an insider of the market and an expert in the market, what's out there, how people get fooled, how not to get fooled, what's important, what's not, and ultimately that if you want, ultimately what I think is important, and obviously if what you sell you didn't think it was important, you wouldn't be selling it, then you can buy ours, because not only is this important, we offer that exact thing. And that's what you should try to be doing at the end of the email sequence, is what that 7 email sequence, ultimately what you're trying to do. And so obviously, and you don't have to make it clear in your email sequence that you are the only be-all, end-all, but just the cordialness, the goodwill you're building up with the user. You don't even have to be the best for everybody. You can just, and for the people, ultimately, here's what it is. The people that should be buying your product, they're almost always going to, if you get them to read all those emails. If it seriously isn't right for your product, they'll go somewhere else, and that's just it. So your goal isn't so much to sell to everybody. It's just to sell is to completely lock down the sale with the person that should be buying this by making sure that that buyer is no longer naive and that you can't complain that all people are cheap or most people are cheap. That's on you. You need to be communicating the value. This email sequence, once they've already contacted you, should be done in your way to do it. Of course, you want to do some of that on your landing page where your traffic is going to as well, but it's not like the email sequence, which can sound like it's coming from you, the owner, and build up empathy between you and the buyer. So anyway, that's the functions of the email sequence and how it gets you your 2x ROI difference on your campaigns. Quickly I'll run through an examples of where I've used this before, different niches. I've done this in the insurance niche, in the B2B space specifically. Was able to see a 2x difference in ROI. Just going through a few different campaigns. I've ran hundreds of campaigns in the past, just trying to look at where we use this. We don't use it all the time because I can't convince the client all the time to do it, no matter how much I know about it. But on the ones we do, home goods, specifically windows, but they were selling like home window installation, got a 1.75x roughly increase in ROI from those that particular situation. And then the last one is in medical, specifically with fertility clinics, got a 1.5x ROI. And just to give you an example there, it's just the same formula every time. Everybody thinks that in order to hire a good PPC person, they have to have worked in your industry. I can tell you the same things are just repeated with slight tweaks from niche to niche. Whereas I explain how to do it for an auto part, for a fertility clinic, it's just, thank you for contacting our clinic. Here's what you're going to be going through at our clinic so you understand. Here's the things that most people are worried about. This is how we take care of it. So you got the formula there for you. So you can use it, just tweak it for whatever you have. You can't say this doesn't work for my industry. It works for everything where you're going to be getting in touch with the buyer pretty much, at all, let's just say, before the person would buy or you get questions. So anyway, for the home goods, windows space, it's educating the buyer about all the different window options out there. There's double pane versus triple pane, and the different types of frames. What the difference is between hiring one type of contractor versus hiring a different type of contractor to do the installations. Some of the stuff has nothing to do with the windows per se. You build up a relationship with the buyer and then making sure that, again, if they get to the point where they recognize that they should be buying your product, they ultimately do. And if there's just no way that this person should buy this, well then you don't care. In the insurance space specifically, it's just talking about all the stuff that could go wrong and how your insurance product ultimately is going to avoid all that nasty crap. I've seen it all happen. I've seen this person didn't have this, and then this happened, da 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 da. I seen this person buy this insurance, they thought they were good, but then da 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 da. And then by the end of that, you've developed so much of a goodwill with the person there, obviously they're just going to buy it from you. So anyway, that in a nutshell is email sequences, how it comes to working that in with your PPC and ultimately specifically doubling your campaign ROI with it for something that sells high enough price or value, or is complicated enough where you get a lot of questions. Anyway, with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I have a lot of other PPC strategy videos specifically on this channel. You should check those out. GuaranteedPPC.com/blog. You can see step-by-step instructions and campaigns that I personally build for our clients to guarantee the results if you would prefer to see things done in that specific way for you to build your own campaigns and to profit more from PPC as a whole out there. Apart from that, if there's anything about email and PPC that I didn't cover here that you think I should, leave a comment down below. I always get back to every person that leaves me a comment on this channel. So I appreciate your time and hope you're inspired to set up an email campaign sequence for yourself now that you know how much it works and how to actually do it.